everyone, my name's Darah, and for my multimedia presentation, I will be focusing on Artemis by Andy Weir. Artemis follows Jasmine Bashara, who operates a smuggling business to make enough money to survive in Artemis, the first city on the moon. Jazz wishes to be wealthy and to move out of her tiny capsule in the poorer part of Artemis, but cannot do this without bending the rules. Artemis shows that it is impossible to reduce the poverty level without committing to economic growth, reducing the impact of wealthy corporations, creating social programs, and focusing on human capital. Countries have used economic growth as a way to decrease the number of people living in extreme poverty, which is demonstrated in the growing industry in Artemis known as Sanchez aluminum. Sanchez aluminum provides jobs to the people of the city, contributing to the economic growth. They also provide Artemis with its oxygen supply, which means they don't have to rely financially on Earth to provide their air. When talking about the importance of Sanchez, Jazz comments, "Sanchez produces so much oxygen byproduct that they not only make rocket fuel on the side, they supply the city with all our breathable air." Weir, 57. For this reason, cultivating economic growth will improve the lives of people living in poverty, but one should be wary of how that growth contributes to elite societies. As long as a city has rich corporations and elite politics, there will always be the need for inexpensive labor, thus contributing to poverty in Artemis. In Artemis, the working class is seen as a valuable part of the economy because they provide the rich corporations with the labor required for their companies. When Jazz talks about her role in Artemis, she comments, "But a city can't just be rich tourists and eccentric billionaires. It needs working class people too. You don't expect Jay Worth-a-lot rich, beep, the third to clean his own toilet, do you?" Weir, 21. Although Artemis is set in the future, we can still draw parallels to current-day challenges in reducing poverty levels of the working class. In order to reduce these levels, we must move away from elite politics that favor wealthy corporations and instead look towards social systems and programs. The United Nations believes that countries should invest in social programs and assistance to close the poverty gap. Weir shows the reader what can happen when these programs are not available. Similar to countries who lack social assistance programs, Jazz in Artemis is unable to access the resources needed to improve her economic status. In an argument with her EVA supervisor Bob about her faulty suit, Jazz says, "I bought it used." "Why would you buy a used suit?" "Because I couldn't afford a new one and I barely had enough money for a used one. And you, beep, holes, wouldn't let me join the guild until I owned a suit." Weir, 17 to 18. As Artemis does not have any social programs, it is extremely difficult to move to a job which pays more money. With the use of social systems, Jazz would have been able to improve her living conditions and her way of life without having to risk her life. Putting in place social systems and programs will invest in the human capital, thus reducing poverty levels. Finally, sustainable economic development in human capital, such as healthcare, education, and nutrition of people, is vital to decreasing poverty, an area lacking in the city of Artemis. In Artemis, the poor population does not have access to the same food as the wealthy. When telling her pen pal about Artemis as a child, Jazz says, "Gunk is food for poor people. It is dried algae and flavor extracts. They grow it here in Artemis in vats because food from Earth is expensive." Weir, 53. Since Artemis does not focus on human capital, they do not give attention to the nutrition of their people and how it is affecting the younger generations. Thus, Artemis is also not investing in the human capital of their society, which affects their ability to close the poverty gap. If countries are to close the gap, a shift in the distribution of wealth is required. Society needs to consider if it is possible to continue to have extreme wealth without the existence of poverty, as both rely on one another to exist. Alright, that's the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you like these memes. I just wanted to say sorry for the long citations. I used a lot of pictures, and they're really tiny so I could try to fit them all. Sorry about that.